Welcome to Global Risk Community Chat. Today our guest is Abiola Okpechi. I'm very happy to have you here today, Abiola. Welcome.
Thank you, Eche. Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Yes, likewise. So before we jump into our topic, can you briefly introduce yourself to our audience?
Sure. Yeah, I am a regulatory and sustainability expert on ESG and responsible sourcing issues at Assent, which is a global supply chain data management company based in Ottawa, Canada. And in my role, I help companies to manage the issues around ESG, whether that's the full range of environmental, social, and governance issues, to ensure that they have the right data to make informed decisions, in order to be in compliance with the different regulations that they need to be, to comply with.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And I'm hearing a lot of ESG popping by. So will that be the topic we are talking about today?
Yes, actually, I was planning to, which I am going to do. I want to talk about the importance of, supply chain data in managing ESG risks for
Yeah,
companies. Yeah.
sounds great. So then let's get into it. So what would be maybe some key things when it comes to this?
Yeah. First of all, if anyone has been paying even a little, cursory attention to the news in recent times, they would have noticed that ESG and all of the issues related to it have become, very, very important, a focal point for businesses and for a variety of stakeholders, right, in the business world. So whether you're talking about investors or you're talking about consumers, a whole range of, stakeholders, there's just this unprecedented interest in the environmental, the social, the governance impacts and performance of companies. And nothing really underscores that importance quite as much as the rapid growth, right? The rapid growth in the of ESG focused regulations that we're seeing all around the world. Like I think the last few years, the last 5 to 7 years has seen such an explosion of different regulations from different parts of the world, asking companies to pay attention to all of these issues on, obviously across the three pillars. So for example, if you're looking at Europe, whether it's you're looking at the corporate sustainability reporting directive, with the ESRS standards that just came out, or you're looking at the corporate sustainability due diligence directive that's, it's in process, or in the US, you're looking at regulations like the forthcoming rules from the SEC, about climate disclosures. You're looking at, in Germany, the German Supply Chain Due Diligence Act. I mean, there's just a whole range of laws coming in, and what they all have in common is an expectation for companies to take a proper look at their operations and see how they're impacting, how they impact, rights holders, and how ESG issues also impact them as a business. And so that becomes, a really important topic for any company that's, doing business nowadays. Now, you asked about what is the important things to focus on when it comes to ESG. And I want to say that for a lot of companies, and this is based on research, for a lot of companies, the majority of ESG risks resides outside of their four walls. So it's not what they do. It's not just within their own business, right? It's not just within what they do in relation to their workforce or how they operate. It's not just the operations. It's also, or in fact, mostly what others, their business partners are doing. And so anything that a company is trying to do, any company that's interested, that wants to, have a successful due diligence program, obviously must consider, like, it's not just, inside, not just what we're doing, what else is happening outside, and we have to take things occurring outside our four walls into consideration. It's okay. I mean, for the most part, most companies would start, they will start their ESG journey just within their four walls, which is as it should be, but it should never end there, right? Whether you're looking at, like, say, the UN guiding principles of business and human rights, you're looking at various standards that have been put out there. Each one of them expects that companies will not stop, right? Only, they will not stop by looking only at themselves, what is happening, internally. And there are some industries actually that up to 98% of their ESG impact is outside of their four walls. Because I mean, once you begin to go into complex manufacturing, you begin to say that it's not so much, how how they treat their workers, obviously, which is important, but you find that most companies, they treat their workers well, and they take care of the things that are within their control. However, when it comes to things that are happening within their supply chain, they have very, very limited visibility, very, very limited knowledge, of what their suppliers are doing that could impact, their ESG scores, which is an important measure for companies, but also, their reputation out there, or financial impacts that could hit them, just from violations occurring within their supply chain. So my focus really, what I encourage companies to do is to ensure that whatever ESG programs that they are putting in place, most certainly, places a big emphasis on the supply chain aspect of their due diligence, of their risks, right? Ensure that is part of their due diligence.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I hear so many things to, really focus on. I mean, it's a big topic, so that makes a lot of sense. But if our audience that is listening right now, if they would, go ahead to work tomorrow and start implementing something right away, what should that thing be?
Yeah. So first of all, I mean, when you're talking about ESG, like the first thing you want to do is know and understand what topics are material to you, right? Because each industry has different material topics, just because their impact can be different, just because of the nature of what they do. So for a company that's say in the services industry, the likelihood of topics related to forced labor may not be quite as significant as it is for a company that's working in manufacturing, especially where that manufacturing is taking place within a global supply chain that's in another part of the world. And so the first step for a company would be to do a materiality assessment, right? Find out what topics do I need to focus on, and where within my supply chain are those risks likely to surface. Now, I mean, the challenge for a lot of companies, is the nature of today's global supply chain. It's so complex, right? It's so complex, it's so opaque, it's so diverse, it's all over the place. And so ensuring that you're able to see everything, or being able to see everything, becomes, almost an impossibility. But the good thing for companies is that all of these regulations we're talking about also understand these dilemmas. They understand these challenges, right? And so what they expect companies to do is to take a risk-based approach, to their supply chain due diligence, right? So you're looking at all of your suppliers, right? And then you see, oh, I've got 10,000 suppliers. How do I assess each one of them? I can't audit every single one of them. I can't assess every single one of them. So you would do a risk assessment, right, to identify which ones of them have the most inherent risks, right? The likelihood of the risk exposure is linked to the inherent risk associated with them. So the first thing, you're looking at what is material to you, and two, you're also looking at which suppliers, right, represent the most risk for you. And then once you've done that, then you begin to ensure that you actually dig in to identify where those risks are likely to come from your suppliers. That would mean directly engaging with your suppliers, right? And that would come in different forms. Obviously, I mean, what I usually would recommend is you need to go to your suppliers with an SAQ, a supplier assessment questionnaire. They're having questions about like how effective can that possibly be. It's more effective than doing nothing, a lot more effective than doing nothing, because in getting information directly from your suppliers, you actually are able to surface risks that you ordinarily would not have visibility into. And then on the basis of the information that you get from those suppliers, you're then able to decide, what is the next step, what additional, enhanced due diligence do I need to do, on my suppliers. I mean, that could take various forms. It could be take the form of ongoing monitoring using publicly available data to see if there are any kind of information out there in the media, in the public domain, or even social media, right? Showing that maybe your supplier is involved in something not quite what you would want your company to be associated with, associated with various kind of practices that could be a negative impact to you. And then also, of course, you're also looking at other tools like audits if you want to do audits. But the very basis of being able to go in depth with your suppliers is, first of all, to engage them with a solid, a sound FAQ, where they provide you with information about their practices, their policies, their processes, their practices for mitigating risks, right? And then also, obviously, giving you evidence, to support whatever it is that they are attesting to you. And then on the basis of that, you being able to make that decision to say, okay, this supplier actually, I am seeing some very, very serious red flags. Based on this assessment that I have done, I think I need to take these additional steps. Or the supplier, based on these responses that I'm seeing and the supporting evidence that they've provided, I think this is the way that I need to work with them.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Abiola. I think with that, our audience have a lot of work to do, a lot of things they should actually take actionable steps into. And on that note, we unfortunately have come to the end of our time for today. So I want to thank you so much once again for joining us and sharing about, supplier data managing in ESG. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, HF. My pleasure.
Have a lovely day.
You too. Take care.